if you make fabric or you make a pattern and then you sell it to quilt shops for like $5, and someone else and then they do it up, so it's like $10 once it's sold to the general public. But then you say that you take that same pattern and sell it to, say, a company that's going to distribute at JCPenney's. That's a different licensing deal. And how do you keep the person from taking the pattern that's $10 and using it, like they say, oh, for sale, I can do anything I want with it? How do you distinguish between that, what you're doing with that local pattern versus the, a derivative work, a bigger licensing scheme for derivative works? Do you have any? I can't figure that, because there's an implied license to use it when you buy a pattern, but I recognize it's a personal, huh?
Yeah, no, I mean, no kidding. Like, why would you buy the pattern if you didn't think if
right.
the person, why would the person selling the pattern if they weren't willing to let people make copies of it?
Yeah.
That's a hard one, because I think people would say if the pattern makers can't have some control, then they lose their initiative and their incentives. But I mean, they're selling the patterns, right? So that's what they get. But then if somebody starts photocopying the patterns and ripping them, basically, giving them away as opposed to having people purchase them, I guess that starts. So
maybe it is the reproduction right. Maybe the fact that you're able to sell it for $10 and there's no reproduction. I mean, you can give it to your friend, right? You don't have to. I mean,
right.
But you can't. Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
But if you could put it up on the internet, that's where it gets tricky, right? Somebody
yeah.
buys the pattern and then puts it up on the internet in a way that you could print it out and use it, then the distribution is suddenly potentially pretty extensive.
And what about companies? Sometimes they put up free patterns, like to entice you to buy fabric. And I'm always wondering, like, how far you could go with that pattern. Like, because they put it up for free and it's available, could you take it and then commercialize that pattern? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what keeps you from. Can they put for personal use only? Can they put a limitation on that, on a pattern that they put out? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they can if they want to do like kind of complicated contract negotiations. But I mean, I guess people really, that's going to add a lot to the cost and complexity of quilting. Maybe people just give up and start crocheting.
Right, and that's not what's happening, right? They're just putting on the bottom of the pattern saying, you may not, for personal use only, no Etsy products. You can't make any Etsy products.
Right, that's just bunk.
Yeah.
Right. It's not truthful, but
it's not. Yeah.
People they're doing something. They're trying to be their own lawyers and do something, but it's, it's
not interesting.
Enforceable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the projects we're working on. So I'm going to let you go into seconds. I know we're past the half-hour point. We're also doing the two other projects I'm really psyched about that I might come back and chat with you towards the end, as we get into them, is the patentability of rulers and the copyrightability of polka dots. Turns out the courts have been really into defining when a polka dot is copyrightable and when it isn't, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Isn't that funny?
Wow.
We live in such a crazy world. I love our intellectual property world.
It definitely is lively subject area.
Totally. I so appreciate you coming to chat. Will you come back as we start to learn things so we can sort of flesh it all out and think about it?
Anytime.
I love it. All right, hold on. I'm going to turn off the recording.
Okay.
So this is Elizabeth Townsend Guard. You've been listening to Just Wanna Quilt, a research podcast coming out of Tulane University Law School. We want to hear from you. Join our army, our quilting army. Go to our Facebook page. Suggest people to be interviewed. Suggest yourself to be interviewed. We are excited to hear from you. But most importantly, I hope you get a chance to quilt today.